I still have the cassette tape. The police gave it back to my dad after they closed the case. They labeled it non-evidence, but I know what it really is. It's a death threat. I haven't played it in 10 years. I don't need to. I have every second of that audio memorized. It's a recording from a voice-activated recorder we had in the tent that night. The first 30 minutes are just me and my best friend Sam, laughing, crinkling chip bags, talking about school. Normal stuff. But the last 10 minutes, it's just the sound of us sleeping. Deep, rhythmic breathing. And then, right at the end, you hear a zipper. You hear the tent zipper slowly sliding down. Zzzzt. And then you hear a voice. It's a whisper, right up against the microphone. It sounds wet. It sounds like someone trying to speak with a mouth full of water. It says, "Leo is sleeping. Leo looks ripe." The timestamp on that recording is 3 a.m. I was fast asleep, which means whatever said that was inside the tent with me. This happened in the summer of 2012. I was 12 years old. Back then, the world felt safe. My backyard felt like a fortress. We lived in a quiet suburb in Ohio, the kind of place where people leave their garage doors open and kids ride bikes until the streetlights come on. My backyard was huge. It backed up to a dense line of oak trees that separated our property from an old abandoned farm. My dad had put up a chain-link fence, but the woods were always there, looming over us. That weekend, my best friend Sam came over for a sleepover. "Let's camp out," Sam said. He had just gotten a new tent for his birthday. "We can set it up by the big oak tree." I was all for it. At 12, camping in the backyard is the ultimate adventure. You feel independent, wild, but you also know that if things get scary, the back door is only 50 feet away. We set up the tent around 6 p.m. We dragged out sleeping bags, pillows, a lantern, and enough junk food to kill a horse. My mom came out around sunset with a plate of warm cookies. "You boys be careful," she said, smiling. "If you get scared, just come inside. The sliding glass door is unlocked." "We won't get scared, Mom," I said. I was trying to look tough in front of Sam. She laughed, ruffled my hair, and went back inside. I watched the kitchen light turn on. It was a beacon, a yellow square of safety in the gathering dark. We spent the first few hours doing exactly what 12-year-old boys do. We read comics by flashlight. We ate Doritos until our fingers were orange. We told ghost stories that weren't actually scary. By midnight, we were exhausted. The sugar crash hit us hard. "Lights out?" Sam asked, yawning. "Lights out," I said. We turned off the lantern. The tent plunged into darkness. Outside, the crickets were chirping. The wind was rustling the leaves of the big oak tree above us. It was peaceful. I closed my eyes, listening to the familiar sounds of my own backyard. I felt safe. I was 20 feet from my house. My parents were just upstairs. Nothing could touch me here. I drifted off. I don't know what time I woke up, but I know what woke me up. It wasn't a sound. It was a smell. I opened my eyes in the pitch black of the tent. I took a breath. The air didn't smell like grass or campfire smoke anymore. It smelled heavy. It tasted metallic, like I was sucking on a dirty penny. And underneath that copper tang, there was something else, something wet and stagnant. It smelled like pond water, like algae and rotting fish baking in the sun. I wrinkled my nose. There wasn't a pond for miles. "Sam," I whispered. "I smell it too," Sam whispered back. His voice was trembling. He was awake. We lay there in the dark, frozen. The smell was getting stronger. It was seeping through the mesh of the tent windows. It was suffocating. Then the cricket stopped. It wasn't a gradual fade. It was instant. 1 second, the backyard was full of noise. The next, it was dead silent. The wind died. The leaves stopped rustling. The silence was heavy. It pressed against my eardrums. And then, from the tree line behind the fence, we heard it. A whistle. It wasn't a bird, it was melodic. A simple 3-note tune. Low, high, low. It sounded cheerful. It sounded human. "Is that your dad?" Sam hissed. I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. "My dad doesn't whistle, and he's asleep." We waited. The whistle came again. Closer this time. It wasn't behind the fence anymore. It was inside the yard. Low, high, low. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I wanted to unzip the tent and run. But my body wouldn't move. I was paralyzed. The freeze instinct had taken over. Then the voice started. It came from the direction of the house. "Leo." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. It was my mom. It had to be. "Leo." "Sam." The voice drifted through the tent walls. "Come inside, boys. I made cookies." Sam sat up. "It's your mom," he whispered, sounding relieved. "She wants us to come in." He reached for the zipper of the tent door. "Stop," I said. I grabbed his wrist. My grip was tight. "What?" Sam asked. "It's just your mom." "Listen to it," I whispered. "Really listen." The voice came again. "Leo, come inside." My blood turned to ice. The cadence was wrong. It was too flat. There was no inflection. It sounded like someone had recorded my mom's voice and was playing it back on a broken radio. The words were chopped up. "Leo, come inside." And there was something else. A wet clicking sound between the words, like the speaker had too much saliva in their mouth. "That's not her," I said. Tears pricked my eyes. "That's not my mom." I crawled over to the mesh window that faced the house. I needed to see. I peeked through the screen. The kitchen light was off. The whole house was dark. My parents' bedroom window was dark. If my mom was outside calling us, why were all the lights off? "Leo." The voice was closer now. It wasn't coming from the house. It was coming from the middle of the lawn, right between us and the safety of the sliding door. "Shine the light," I told Sam. My voice was barely a squeak. "What?" "Shine the flashlight," I commanded. "I need to see who it is." Sam fumbled in the dark. I heard the click of the plastic button. The beam of light cut through the darkness of the tent. It hit the mesh window. It illuminated the patch of grass outside. It swept left, empty yard. It swept right. The swing set. Then Sam aimed it straight ahead, toward the house. The beam landed on a figure standing in the middle of the lawn. It was my mom. Or it looked like her. From a distance, it was wearing her favorite blue floral nightgown. It had her shoulder-length blonde hair. But as the light held steady, my brain started to reject what I was seeing. The figure was too tall. Way too tall. My mom was 5 feet 4 inches. This thing stood at least 7 feet. Its arms hung down past its knees. Sam's hand was shaking, making the light dance, but I saw the face. It was smiling. A wide, frozen grin that stretched too far across the face. It showed too many teeth. And the eyes. They weren't eyes. They were just painted on. Like a doll. Flat white circles with black dots in the middle. They didn't blink. They didn't react to the light. "Leo," the thing said. Its jaw didn't move. The sound just emanated from it. "Cookies." Then I looked at the nightgown. It wasn't fluttering in the breeze. It wasn't hanging loosely. The fabric of the nightgown was merged with its skin. The blue floral pattern wasn't cloth. It was part of its flesh. It looked like melted wax that had been painted to look like clothes. Where the sleeve met the arm, there was no cuff. Just a smooth transition from blue flowers to pale gray skin. It was a mimic, a thing trying to look like a mother, but getting the details all wrong. Sam whimpered. He dropped the flashlight. The beam rolled across the floor of the tent, casting wild shadows. The thing on the lawn stopped talking. It dropped. It didn't fall over, it folded. Its knees bent backward like a grasshopper. It dropped onto all fours. And then it started to move. It didn't run. Slap, slap, slap. It loped across the grass, wet, heavy palms hitting the earth. It was moving fast, incredibly fast, and it was coming straight for the tent. Slap, slap, slap. The sound was getting closer. It was the sound of wet meat hitting the ground at full speed. I was frozen. My brain had shut down. I was staring at the wall of the tent, watching the shadow of the thing grow larger and larger as it charged through the flashlight beam. Wham! The entire side of the tent bowed inward. It didn't tear. The nylon stretched tight like a drum skin. Something heavy was pressing against the outside. I could see the outline of a hand pushing into the fabric, but it wasn't a hand. The fingers were too long. They had too many joints. They pressed into the nylon until the fabric turned white from the tension. Then came the smell. It flooded the tent instantly, that stench of stagnant pond water and wet copper. It was so strong I gagged. My eyes watered. A voice came from right outside the mesh window, inches from my ear. "Leo, open. Up." It wasn't using the mimicking voice anymore. It wasn't trying to sound like my mom. The voice was a wet, guttural click. It sounded like insects chittering inside a human throat. "Open. Up." A fingernail slowly dragged down the mesh screen. Zip. That sound broke my paralysis. "Run!" Sam screamed. He didn't fumble. He didn't hesitate. He grabbed the main zipper of the tent door and ripped it downward. The sound was loud in the silence. The tent flaps fell open. We didn't look back. We didn't look to the side to see the thing crouched in the grass. We bolted. We exploded out of the tent, scrambling over our sleeping bags, kicking off our shoes. We hit the wet grass in our socks. The sliding glass door was 20 feet away. 20 feet. That's nothing. That's 3 seconds of running. But that night it felt like 20 miles. The air was cold. The grass was slick with dew. My socks slipped on the mud. I stumbled, my hand hitting the ground. I heard the sound behind me. Thump. Slap. It wasn't running on 2 legs. It was thrashing against the earth, limbs flailing, wet hands slapping the mud. It was closing the distance. I scrambled up, gasping for air. I could hear Sam ahead of me, panting. "Mom! Dad!" Sam screamed. He reached the patio. He hit the concrete slab hard. He grabbed the handle of the sliding glass door and pulled. Thunk. It didn't move. My heart stopped. "It's locked!" Sam shrieked. He yanked it again. "Leo, it's locked!" My mom had said she left it unlocked, but habits are hard to break. Before they went to bed, one of them must have flipped the latch out of muscle memory. We were trapped. I hit the patio. I spun around, putting my back to the glass. The creature was at the edge of the lantern light. It had stopped moving. It was slowly unfolding itself, standing up on its hind legs. It rose up, and up, and up. It towered over us. 7 feet of pale gray skin, painted with a blue floral pattern. The face was blank. The painted-on eyes stared at me. The wide, toothy grin didn't move. It took a step onto the patio. I saw its feet. They weren't feet. They were hands, long, grasping fingers where toes should be. It reached out a hand toward me. "Leo!" It clicked. "Tasty!" I screamed. I hammered my fist against the glass behind me. "Dad! Dad!" The light in the kitchen flipped on. My dad appeared at the door, rubbing sleep from his eyes, looking annoyed. He reached for the lock. Click. The door slid open. Sam and I tumbled backward into the kitchen, crashing onto the linoleum floor. "What is going on?" my dad started to say. Then he looked up. He saw the thing standing on the patio, inches from the threshold. He didn't scream. He didn't slam the door. He froze. I watched his face go slack. His eyes went wide. He was staring at the monster wearing his wife's face, wearing her skin like a costume. His brain couldn't process it. He stood there, paralyzed, mouth open, staring into the dead, painted eyes of the mimic. The creature hissed. It lunged for the open door. "Dad!" I screamed. I grabbed his pajama pants and yanked him backward with everything I had. He stumbled back, snapping out of the trance just as a gray hand swiped the air where his throat had been. He kicked the door shut. He threw the latch. Slam. A split second later, the creature slammed against the glass. It pressed its face against the door. The glass bowed under the pressure. It opened its mouth, its jaw unhinging like a snake, and let out a sound that shattered the windows in the living room. It wasn't a scream. It was the sound of my own voice, amplified and distorted. "Dad! Dad! Dad!" Then it turned and skittered back into the darkness of the yard. The police arrived in 6 minutes. They searched the yard. They searched the woods behind the fence. They brought dogs. They found nothing. The police report said it was likely a drug-addicted drifter or a prank gone wrong. They tried to rationalize it. They talked about methamphetamines and hallucinations, but they couldn't explain the evidence. They found the tent. It wasn't cut with a knife. It had been torn open from the top, shredded like wet tissue paper. And then one of the officers looked up. Above the tent, high in the branches of the big oak tree, they found something. It was a nest. It was wedged in the fork of 2 large branches, about 15 feet off the ground. It was woven together from twigs, mud, and cloth. My dad climbed the ladder to look at it. He came down pale as a sheet. He threw up in the bushes. The nest was lined with clothes. My clothes. T-shirts that had gone missing from the laundry line. Old socks. A pair of jeans I thought I had lost. The thing hadn't just found us that night. It had been living in the tree above our tent for weeks. It had been watching me play in the yard. It had been watching my mom hang laundry. It had been studying us, learning our voices, learning our routine. And it was building something. But the worst part, the part that I can't escape, was the recorder. We had left the voice-activated recorder running in the tent. The police recovered it from the wreckage. They played it for my dad. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I was listening from the hallway. The first 30 minutes are normal. Just 2 boys laughing and falling asleep. Then there is an hour of silence, just the wind in the trees. And then, at 2:14 a.m., the recorder clicks on. There is a sound of something heavy landing on the ground next to the tent. Thump. Then the zipper slowly slides down. There is a wet breathing sound, and then a voice. It isn't the mimicking voice. It's a whisper, but it's too close. The audio clips because the source is pressing directly against the microphone inside the tent. Fit him, the voice clicks. Skin fits him. Then silence for 45 minutes. It was in the tent with us. Before we woke up to the smell, before the whistling, before the chase. It had already been inside. It had unzipped the door while we were sleeping. It had crawled in. It had sat over me, measuring me, touching the microphone, seeing if I was ready to be harvested. I don't go camping anymore. I don't go into backyards at night. And sometimes, when I'm alone in my room, I check my own skin in the mirror. I check my elbows. I check my neck. I just need to make sure my clothes aren't starting to merge. I need to make sure I'm still me.